Hi guys, I'm Uncle Richie.
Yo, what up? J Money's back.
And this is C10. And you're listening to the Unkles podcast.
Yeah, whoa, welcome to the Unkles.
Also, congratulations on your new theme song.
Whoa,
That was, yeah.
I reckon
looks
we'll
so
put
good.
some of that in, but
Yeah, if you want it later, I can.
yeah, if you got the loud or the MP3, I can.
Yeah.
I can play it over top. Well, when we look around the Pacific today, much of the power still lies with men. And that's not to diminish the incredible matriarchs in our families, but rather it's a symptom of patriarchy that sees men as superior to women. It shapes our social norms, it hinders economic progress, and it contributes to the pervasive problem of discrimination and violence. But we all have good men in our lives, we all know good men, and empowering women starts with empowering men to advocate for the women in their lives, so that we can all enjoy the same rights and the same opportunities. So for this episode of Pacific Pulse, I thought I would open it up to a couple of Wontoks from Brisbane, some good men that I know, Richie and Charles. Good afternoon. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Afternoon. I am Richard Oitsy. Obviously from the Unkles podcast and work in sales. Been doing that for a few years now. Started on the podcast, which has been very eventful, and I guess that's how we've crossed paths, and one of the reasons why we're here today.
Wonderful. Charles,
Charles Tanak and I working in recruitment in the civil and mining space, but love doing music on the side and love spending time with family and making good choices.
And a bit of an omission, but you're both Papua New Guinean. Can you tell us a little bit about where your families are from?
Yeah, so from Papua New Guinea, from Berena, but also Yule Island, so places that are probably 3 or 2.5-3 hours outside of Port Moresby. Mum's from there, dad's from there, so pretty easy when we have to go home. We don't have to travel very far to see all my boo-boos and relatives. So that's where I'm from.
Wonderful.
For me, it's the same region as well in Central Province. Same sort of district as Richard, from a place called Waima, a couple of kilometers away from Berena. That's where my mum's from, and my dad's from Rabaul, East New Britain.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming into the studio. It's the first time we've had live guests on Pacific Pulse. Well, we were talking about allyship, we're talking about relationships and what it means to have and nurture respectful relationships. And we're having that conversation among Pacific men in particular. So I'm in a room with a bunch of good dudes. Who were the role models in your lives growing up, the male role models? I might start with you, Charles.
The male role model for me was at home, my dad, and there was actually a couple. My dad, and my older brother, sorry. They always sort of kept me in line, and I guess they kept me in line, showed me sort of how to be a gentleman, how to respect my mum, all the girls in our family as well. So that's pretty much for me.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about your family? You have sisters?
Yes, so I've got 3 sisters, and then I've got 2 brothers. One brother in PNG, 3 sisters, all in Papua New Guinea as well, and then I've got another brother in Perth. So it's just the both of us in Australia at the moment, and my dad's there as well. So he's sort of getting some care with some elderly care.
Sure. No, totally. Richie, I might come to you. Can you tell me about your family? Who's in your family? Who are the women in your life?
So definitely my mum. I'm a bit of a mummy's boy, I have to admit. Love it a bit, and I've got 2 younger sisters as well. So those are I guess my family, and then also got a partner, Olivia, and those are probably the most important women in my life for sure.
What was the dynamic like growing up with 2 younger sisters?
There was a lot of me trying to force them into different things. I
Like
think
what?
like WWE wrestling and
Hey, let me show you this particular
yeah, it was like here you go, catch this rugby ball and I'll tackle you, which didn't end up well. It usually ended up with me getting a hiding, but that's all good.
Because we're respectful adult men now,
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
100%.
with partners.
Yes, exactly,
100%.
exactly.
And how old are your sisters now?
So one of them, Britt, she's 24. She just had a little boy,
Oh, wow.
Huey. So he's cutest thing in the world. And Corey, my youngest sister, who's 22. So
Wow.
living her best life.
Yeah, they're great years. Oh gosh, Charles, you're a new father.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
4 months old is your baby.
Yep.
You're just in the thick of it at the moment. How are you going?
Oh, still learning. Yeah, like going through the motions. Sort of going through that stage where you're seeing your baby's personality come forward, and I think that's been the greatest thing so far for myself, and I see that in my partner as well. She's enjoying it as well.
Now, I know a little bit about your relationships because you guys share so openly on your podcast, The Unkles, which is a wonderful platform that you give to other one-tops, other women, sports people achieving, especially who've moved from Papua New Guinea to Australia. But one episode that comes to mind, you spoke about just the juggle of being a new father and having to show up for your partner. It's only 4 months in where you've thrown a baby into the mix, but
Yeah.
how are you going with that?
Very, very challenging, and that's not taking away from all the great stuff that happens. I think the biggest thing for me, and I touched on it in that episode on the podcast, was just also balancing being there for your partner as well. I think we as men always want to be the provider and do a lot of physical work, carrying stuff, but also that nurturing side has to come out as well. I feel like I saw my partner go through a lot of carrying the weight of the pregnancy, and going through a lot of challenges as well on her end, having to take off work as well. That was massive for her. And I feel like it's up to men to give back in a sense where you're there mentally as well, checking in on your partner. It's a physical and mental side of things as well. So, yeah.
You look like you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Richie,
I hope so.
You've been with Olivia for 4 years now.
Yeah.
What have you learnt in your relationship with Viv?
Oh, I'd say, everyone likes to talk about the good things, but definitely the first 2 years, I'd say, were a roller coaster. We sort of moved in together without not knowing each other, which was pretty challenging, but it's definitely, set us apart now where everything just seems normal now and everything's fine. Whether she does something, I do something, you sort of make it work and you manage the relationship. So 4 years, definitely a long time. It's definitely flown by, but it was the first 2 years that definitely built us up to where we are now, where any little thing now we just laugh about it and move on. So I think that's the positive.
Yeah, gosh. How soon was it that you moved in together?
Oh, it was probably, I asked her out 1 week, and then it was only like 2 months. In the space of 2 months we moved in together. So lots of we had to learn a lot about each other very quickly, which was looking back now, it was amazing.
Yeah, wow. So 4 years, that would have taken in COVID years, or maybe just COVID years. What would you say are some of the hallmarks of a healthy relationship, especially when you're living together quite closely, you're sharing your life in that way?
I think the biggest thing, and I can't remember where I got this quote from, but I read somewhere that people say your relationship should be 50-50, but looking at it, it actually shouldn't. It should be 100. Both of us should be giving our 100% of our time every time we're together, and then you're figuring out certain things along the way and helping each other along the way. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is just making sure that I'm there for her 100% of the time. And, you know, when you clock off, you sort of just have to slap yourself to be like, all right, let me come back here so I'm present.
I'm Melissa Maykin, and this is Pacific Pulse. Joined in the studio, I have Richie Aitzi and Charles Tanakanai, who are also hosts of the wonderful podcast, The Unkles, talking to Papua New Guineans doing incredible things. Richie, sorry, I wanted to ask, you had an accident.
Yeah. Yes,
You
I
had
did.
an accident in Pom. You slipped and fell in a toilet.
Yes, I
Can you
did.
please maybe indulge us as to the short version of that horrific story?
Yeah, so I went back home. Short story. Sorry. Went back home. I had a big night out with my mates. Got to the end of the night. We go to a famous Chinese spot, actually chicken shop, and I go upstairs to the toilet. I use the toilet, and I turn around and there's a step right in front of me, and I'm looking straight ahead. I missed a step, and my head goes straight smack bang onto the ceramic bowl. And I straight away when it happened, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've done something here. Blood starts flowing down, and then I run to the boys. I'm like, boys, how does it look? And everyone's just like, emergency now. So yeah, it wasn't the best experience, but looking back at it now, something that had to happen in order for me to grow and sort of understand a few different things that are happening in my life, and I'm looking at it as a positive now.
And speaking of this story, I bring it up because you've just marked over 100 days sober. So after that incident, you decided to just cold turkey, no alcohol.
Yeah.
How has that changed your life?
Yeah, so in many ways, I'd have to say there's a long list, but I think for me the biggest thing is a lot of time. So getting time back in my day, say when you're hungover on a Sunday or hungover on Monday, Tuesday, and how that affects your week. Now it's, I've got all the time in the world and I sort of have no excuses. So if we do a podcast, for example, then I can edit on Saturday, Sunday, and I'm making sure that we can deliver an episode every Sunday, 6 p.m. So that's sort of my goal, and that's sort of been my why. So whenever I do get the temptation, do I need to drink here? I think of, we need to sort of level up the podcast.
Has your partner Liv noticed any changes in you in the relationship since giving up alcohol?
Definitely. I think the obvious one is, alcohol, and then sort of the behaviors around that. And that comes back to time as well, what I spoke about. So being actually present there with your partner, say when you're drunk or you're hungover, you may, have wandering thoughts or whatever, and not be as present as you might be when you're not hungover. So that's probably the biggest thing. The other things are, the little things that would open up other addictions. So alcohol would open up other addictions. Speaking about myself, like gambling or drugs or other things. So she's definitely seen the changes and the side effects that not drinking alcohol has had on me.
That's wonderful, and huge congratulations for doing that. It's not easy, and it's fantastic for people to hear the positive impact it's had in your life in just since that accident. I want to turn to you now, Charles, because outside of your work and the podcast, you're also a musician, you're a multi-instrumentalist, you record and produce your own music, a lot of island reggae, some really great songs. How have you found music accompanies your relationships? When you look at, I guess, the time that you have in your day, does music have a way of making you more present in other people's lives? I guess in your partner
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love instruments. I love music. I play the guitar, bass, and a few others as well. Different percussions as well. But one thing that I sort of really, I think what made myself and my partner really come together was our love for instruments and music as well. So we sit down, we jam sometimes when the baby's asleep, of course.
Nice.
But yeah, we just she's learnt the bass really quickly because she's played clarinet before. So from moving from that to sort of learning bass, and then I just sort of give a bit of reggae on the side, and yeah, just teach her little riffs and stuff, and yeah, it just keeps us. I think that's where some of our passion lies as well. So yeah.
You say it would maybe ground you in relationships, your love for music?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, very sort of links us together in that love for music. Yeah.
Wonderful. We're sort of getting towards the end, but I want to ask about the women in your lives again, because you all have sisters, and I'm sure they've all had dating stories, the good, bad, and the ugly. What role do you think young Pacific men can play in supporting women in their lives, especially the ones in their families?
Yeah, I think it's really important to have or have that thought where you need to treat women like how you'd like other men to treat your sisters. I think that's a big thing that my old man told me when I was quite young, and I've sort of stuck to that since then. And those words are very strong. So, I mean, if you speak to any woman or our partners, for example, you need to treat them like how you'd want any man to sort of treat your sister, and that's how I'd sort of look at how to treat women.
Lovely. Charles, I didn't ask, but are you raising a daughter or a son, or?
Daughter,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
How do you reflect on what Richie said?
Yeah, that's really important what Richard said, and same values came from my parents, and especially my dad as well. He'd always sort of sit us down and drill into us the importance of respecting women, and obviously as time's gone by, now I've got a daughter. It's really, I feel like you can almost feel vulnerable where you've got a partner, a daughter, and I think a lot of men out there feel the same, but they're afraid to speak about it or share. I think understanding yourself, understanding yourself, understanding how you can sort of bring out the best version of yourself would be the most important way to approach that situation. If you ever are in a situation where you're sort of having negative thoughts or thoughts that you aren't gonna do something positive in that sense.
Sure.
Just always reflect back on how you can fix your own actions, and
I wish more men were as self-aware as both of you are.
No, I think it's taken us some learnings as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm perfect or anything, but I think in those teen years and growing up, those early 20s, like there was a lot of learning to do, and I think that's an important thing to say as well, is that you need to go through those learnings to be able to find a place where you're like what Charles said, is you're comfortable with your own feelings and your emotions, and you're able to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the podcast is such a great platform, because it's guys having these conversations, but you did touch on learnings, and I do know that you were educated at a very prominent all-boys school here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
What learnings, be they negative or positive, did you take away from that experience when it comes to relationships?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day, and Charles and I both went there, and there was, because we came over at quite a young age, 13, 14, those are sort of prime years where you're going through your teenage years, and you do take in a lot of things that you see. So I would say there were years there that we missed opportunities with our own sort of parents to grow and understand relationships as well. Whereas most of our learnings came from being around the boys and at school. So you can imagine what that sort of that sort of thing would have been like, you know, talking down on women or, you know, classic boy behavior. So we had to sort of, for me, I had to unlearn those things again in order to be able to learn sort of positive traits, because we missed those, I'd say, golden opportunities with our parents. Even though when we did see them, they would, you know, drill it into us. Most of our time was at school and around the boys, so it was definitely
a different culture too.
Yeah, exactly. Like where we did primary school in PNG and have come across to Australia, so your kind of mind gets blown with everything that's here and what's going on. So it definitely took I'd say a lot of me to be able to get to where I am now, but you know, grateful for everything that's happened.
You're both very wonderful men. It's been an honour talking to you. Charles, did you have anything finally to say?
Just want to say, if you ever, for all the men out there, just make sure you're checking in with yourself, check in with your brothers. It's always good to share what's on your mind, and you know, there's always someone out there that'll listen. So you know, don't take matters in your own hands, and just respect women.
Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, before we wrap up, I've actually got a song for you because Charles is known as C10 to those who know him as a musician, and he's going to introduce the song. Charles, can you tell us what was the background to Love Ting?
Look, you know how I said touched on myself and my partner playing instruments together. Well, you know, came up with this tune when we sort of met. And then, I thought I'd write something catchy, and came up with some lyrics, some catchy lyrics.
Catchy lyrics?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, let's put these catchy lyrics to air. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Thank you.